So I'm going to talk about the brain. The brain is probably my favourite part in the body. It never rests. It is 25% more active when it is asleep than when you're awake. It never kind of overheats. It's just continually running perfectly until something goes wrong. Up on the slide you can see all those glowing sections are called neurons. And then what happens is the synapses allow them to connect between each other, and then a neural connection is formed when a neuron connects to another one. So the science doesn't 100% understand how the brain works, what happens, but they do know that it works by firing information from one neuron to another. So how many do you think we have? So think of probably a big number. This is the kind of thing that even if you exaggerate, you're probably going to get it wrong by being too low, because there is 100 trillion. So, number of zeros up there, that's a lot. 1,000 times more than the stars in our galaxy, and that's just in your brain. So, next time if someone tells you you're stupid, then just remember how many neurons you've got in your brain. So, the way they work. So, say you get some information into your brain, so you might see a shark. And then these are just a range of things that may happen. You'll feel a bit scared, you'll have a couple of thoughts, like you'll get out of the water, you have a physical response, so you have an increased heart rate, it's funny, your stomach will actually shrink, all kinds of things like that will happen, basically to give you the every opportunity to outrun that shark. There's another behavioural response up there that I've highlighted in red because that is a future behaviour that you will probably avoid going to the beach for a while. And as a result of that, you actually have a couple of other things that will happen. This isn't necessarily everybody, it's just hypothetical. So you might avoid swimming, you start telling people, don't go to that beach, there's a shark there. Interesting thing is you might actually start watching movies like Jaws. You might think the opposite, that you wouldn't watch a movie like that, but people actually try to confirm theories they've got. So if you think a shark is scary, you'll probably start watching movies that the shark are killing people, because then it confirms that's why they're going to the water. So people feel better about themselves when they can confirm their own theories they've got. But as a result of that, it actually forms a neural connection between going to the beach, seeing a shark, watching Jaws, and it just becomes this kind of like a loop. Where every time you watch Jaws, you then get that connection of, I better not go to the beach, I'm going to see a shark probably. So that is a really strong connection. There can be, every kind of neuron in your brain is connected to the other, but some of them are not as strong as the other. So your connection for, say, pavlova is probably not going to be very strong for a connection to a dog or something like that. But your connection from pavlova to being really tasty is going to be a really strong connection. So this helps to understand and explain why we have habits and why addictions can form. So I've just got the example of an alcoholic on the slide there. So every time an alcoholic has something like when they're happy, when they're sad, they think, okay, it's time to have a drink. And this is one of the reasons why it's so difficult to kick an addiction, because they have built all these neural connections between when this happens, I have a drink. When I go for a walk, I want to have a drink. And so every single thing that they have formed, they then need to address and kind of change that connection to something else. So when they're sad, the next time, instead of having a drink, they will go and perhaps bring their friend. Or when they're happy, instead of having a drink, they'll go and watch TV or something, I don't know. And so it's actually really difficult for someone to break an addiction because of this. And I was thinking, what habits or even addictions have you got in your own walk? When you come home from school or work, do you jump straight onto the computer, play a computer game? Not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. Or do you think, yeah, I'm going to go and read the Bible for a bit? And these are just all things that you have to kind of work out how they fit into your life. So I had another example up there of playing soccer. So I thought of all the reasons why you might play soccer. So you've got to get fit, increase your skills, do a team building with some friends, just for a bit of enjoyment. There's an example I read about, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just going to say it's true. A lady lived next to a park, and she really hated these kids that came to play soccer every week. And so she went about it in an interesting way. She went up to them and said, oh, I really love that you guys play soccer. I'm going to give you $1 every week that you come and play soccer. So now we've got the added thing of to make money. The interesting thing is, every week they came, she gave me $1 each. About 4 weeks later, she said, I'm really sorry, I can't afford to give you $1 anymore. I can only afford 50 cents each. And they all said, 50 cents? We're not playing 50 cents. They took the ball and never came back. So what happened was, making money became this massive incentive to them, and all the other incentives were gone. This is why most people don't enjoy their jobs. Making money is one of these strange, interesting things where it removes your enjoyment in other ways. That's the reason why sports players that are professional end up hating the sport they play sometimes, or you see them and they're just not enjoying themselves. It's because they're making money, there's all this pressure on them to perform, and they're not getting any enjoyment out of it. So how do we relate this to our walk in the Lord? And I thought, well, your neural connections that you form actually can base your attitude on things. So when you come to a meeting or an assembly activity, what do you think? Do you think, oh, I'm forced to come here? And then the connection to that would be, when does the talk finish? What am I having for dinner? When can I leave? What other things can I be doing right now? Or do you come slightly better attitude? What can I get out of this? And that's a great attitude to have for probably a new person. They come and they say, yeah, I really want to learn, I really want to get a whole lot out of the meeting. But it still is an attitude that could be improved because you come to a meeting expecting to be fed and not necessarily expecting to serve other people. The attitude that everyone's really aimed to have is, how can I make this a success? So then you have ownership of the church and you say, I'm part of this body, I really want to make a good go of this, and I want to be the person that really drives the church forward. I think everyone is able to do that. It's not whether you're a pastor. I think even if you're a 13, 14-year-old, you can still drive the church because people see you and they get fed and they see your example. I actually have a bit of a theory when it comes to witnessing. I have a theory that people that are seen as being strong evangelists are no more spiritual than anyone else. They probably have no more confidence than anyone else. If you know of Paul Flanagan, he was a brother in the fellowship up at Elizabeth who passed away a while back, but I heard someone once spoke to him, and he would bring people along like it's going out of fashion. He would bring probably, 100 people a year, maybe not that many, but it was a lot. And people would say to him, do you still feel nervous when you go witnessing? And he said, oh yeah, every time. And so I have this theory that people don't have this increased spiritual superpower of witnessing. Think of all the testimonies of people who come to the Lord and they bring all their friends along. They're only new in the Lord. They don't necessarily know the scriptures. They're not necessarily more faithful than anyone else, but they just have built this incredible connection between seeing a new person and seeing that as an opportunity. So when you see a new person in the meeting, do you see it as someone else's job, or do you think, I'm going to go up and I'm going to talk to that person? Or when you see a person on the street, do you think that's someone I'm going to avoid, or do you go up to them and say, I'm going to witness to that person? That's my last slide. Got this scripture up on the board. Not going to read it out, but you can read it for yourself. But basically, these disciples were preaching the gospel, and they were threatened and beaten by the government, basically. Now they went out and they had a whole lot of joy that they had suffered shame for the name of Jesus. And I was thinking that every time something happens in your life, you have this choice how you're going to react. It's not an automatic reaction. You have an automatic, perhaps, instinct to react, but you always have a bit of control over how you react. I actually got to hear a lady called Dr. Julian Hicks at a corporate event the other day, and she was a lady who was in the London bombings. She lost her legs. She was on the train, and next minute she looked down, and it was just chaos, and she had no legs. She, in that moment, when she woke up, basically thought, she basically wanted to go to sleep. She knew she would die if she did that, and she was actually okay with that. But then she looked down and she saw the remains of her legs, and she took her scarf. She'd already lost about 70% of her blood at this stage, and had 3 heart attacks. Her lungs had both collapsed. She had enough strength of mind to get her scarf and to create a tourniquet on her legs, and she survived. And she said, in that moment, I had to choose whether I would live or die. And she said it, and she chose life. And the way that she got it, because she said, I hate it when people say, oh, you're coping with this or you're coping with that. She wanted to transcend what had happened. And she actually got fitted, when she got fitted for prosthetic legs, She was originally 5 feet tall, and she asked to be made 5'8". So her way of getting over the situation and making the best of it was making herself 8 inches taller. And there are so many ways that you can relate that to your own walk in the Lord. So many times that we get knocked down as Christians, and it's whether we go away and think, oh, we're just going to try and cope with this, or we're just going to get sad, or we're going to throw it all in and just fall away. Or you can come away and you can rejoice that you're counted worthy to suffer shame for Jesus, and decide you're going to be taller for it. Amen.